My name is Bro Perkins. I'm a medium and I've been giving psychic readings for 20 years. My mission is to demystify the mystical and educate the public that we do not die, and life is about growth. This is ARC, the Afterlife Research Center. So the paranormal can appear in our life in many ways. Some have hauntings, some see psychics, but you can also leave your body when you're going through surgery or in a near fatal accident and have been revived. Many people remember leaving their body and having out-of-body experiences. I began having out-of-body experiences when I was a teenager. I had read a book by a man who now is an author of 5 books, Bob Peterson, and he's a fascinating man who studies and practices something called astral projection. So apparently you can learn to leave your own body. It's a simple procedure, but it takes some dedication. Here's my interview with him now. Well, Bob, thank you for joining me on my TV show. We actually had an interview on YouTube a few months ago now. And you are, I'll introduce you quickly, you're my teacher of astral projection. So you taught me to leave my body when I was like a teenager, which is such a weird thing to say and think about.
Do you want to? I won't deny that.
One of the things about your style with writing and how you compiled the first book was you really stripped all the ego out of it, and you were just very technical and methodical in your approach. You're like, here's what I did, here's what happened, some of the success and failure, and here was the results. And I found what helped me the most with reading it was when I would try, and I might not get very far with the experience, but I got to a certain plateau, like the vibration stage that everybody talks about. And we'll get into all these stages in a minute. But if I didn't get further than that, I wasn't discouraged, because I had read that it took you something like a year or 9 months before you got further than that. And then when you finally did get out of your body, you were blind. You couldn't see anything. And then I was actually blind when I got out of my body, which was a surprise. And so that really prepared me for it. And it took away a lot of fear, I found too. So out-of-body experiences, astral projection, you and I know all about this stuff, but for my audience at home who may be hearing this for the first time, how would you quantify this? How would you define it? And what the heck is it even?
Well, it's kind of hard to put a pin on it. An out-of-body experience basically is an experience in which it feels and acts, behaves as if you are completely separate from your physical body. In other words, your physical body appears to be just another inanimate object in the room. And, you know, there's the lamp, there's the couch, there's my bed, there's my body lying on the bed, and you're not near it. That's what it appears to be. Now, that doesn't mean that it is separate from your body. It just means that that's what it feels like. It's a very realistic experience. It's a conscious experience, so it's not a dream. It's not, it's a conscious experience, and it's very. It feels and behaves very objective. So that's basically what it is. And it's been reported by people from all walks of life, men and women alike, all religions, all throughout history. It doesn't seem to pick on any particular belief system or anything. And it's been around a long time. And I think for a lot of people have one of these experiences. Scientists estimate that about 20% of the general population have had an out-of-body experience. And a lot of people don't understand it. They don't know what's going on, and they might think they're going crazy or whatever, and they keep it their dirty little secret. That's especially true. A lot of people experience awareness during sleep paralysis, and sleep paralysis is a perfectly normal thing your body does every night to keep you from acting out your dreams.
Okay, so what is sleep paralysis? Just a short intro.
Yeah, sleep paralysis is basically a phase that you go through every night when you fall asleep. Your body to your physical body, there's almost no difference between imagination and experience. And the difference is, imagination is something that you conjure up yourself. And dreams, I believe, are subconscious imagination. But because they're so close to experience in how they're treated by the brain, your body is basically forced to paralyze itself during sleep to prevent you from acting out your dreams. And a lot of people become aware and conscious during this state where their body is paralyzed and they don't know what's going on. And because they don't know what's going on, they're kind of trapped between the dream world of hallucination and the waking world where you're completely conscious. And because of that, they tend to see very realistic hallucinations, and they see monsters coming to get them, and it's a very frightening, understandably frightening experience because it's so vivid and so realistic. A lot of people keep that their dirty little secret, but actually it's a perfectly normal thing that happens. It's just that we're normally not conscious to see it and experience it and be aware of it.
Right, right. That's the best definition I've heard of sleep paralysis, because a lot of people who, let's say, talk about and study astral projection refer to sleep paralysis as the moment where you're half in your body, half out. And that's kind of, I guess, true in a sense, but how you worded it is much more technically true. I think it's that, look, there is some mechanism that deactivates your motor systems in your body while you're dreaming. So how do you determine the difference between a genuine out-of-body experience where you're actually aware and awake and leaving your body and going into either an aspect of this world or another world, like a spirit world, versus a dream? Like, how do people even know there's a difference?
Well, first of all, like I said, dreams tend to be ordinary dreams are unconscious experiences. So you're in a dream, you're kind of pulled from event to event, and things kind of play out in front of you, and you're kind of an observer in a lot of cases. You can make some decisions or whatever, but it'll keep playing out. In a lucid dream, it's another phase where you actually become conscious and aware that you're dreaming. So you know you're dreaming, but you also know that this is a hallucination. You know that you're seeing a hallucinated environment and that it's all made up. But you have conscious control now, and you have a certain amount of control over the dream. So, for example, if you open a door and you say to yourself, well, I expect that when I open this door, I'm going to see a beautiful woman on the other side. And you open the door and lo and behold, there's a beautiful woman. That's a lucid dream. In an out-of-body experience, the experience tends to be not that objective seeming. I mean, it's hard to explain, but in a lucid dream, things tend to be more mystical, and your body image tends to be more whole. It's a lot like your physical body. In an out-of-body experience, I like to think of your non-physical body as kind of a Schrodinger's body, right? You have hands. If you think about your hands, they'll be there and they'll feel completely normal. But if you're not thinking about them actively, you probably don't have hands. And your experience kind of follows your attention. And if you walk up to a door and you say to yourself, oh, I expect that when I open this door, I'll see a beautiful woman on the other side. A lot of times it won't happen because it seems like this is more an objective reality that you're experiencing.
I've noticed that. Like I used to experience having a body because it's what you'd expect. But as I've gotten older and I've started doing more of this, I just feel like a point of consciousness. I'm a cloud usually, which I'm perfectly happy to be a cloud. Mm-hmm. It's better than being a portly, balding psychic. So, but the other thing is, like, I'll even leave my body and I'll think, oh, there's going to be a spirit around the corner, and I'll go hunting through my house and go into crevices and crawl spaces, and there's nothing there. It's just boring in a certain kind of sense until I leave and go up and do something more adventurous. So exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, that's another thing is that, in a lucid dream, like I said, like normal dreams, in a lucid dream, the events kind of play out and go from point A to point B, and these things happen to you. In an out of body experience, you can be completely bored. You can, you know, sit there and think, well, gee, what should I do now? And what haven't I done yet, or what have I got to try, and all of this. And boredom is completely an option. In a lucid dream, it seems like it's not an option, at
Right.
least for me.
No, I've noticed that too. Right. So I guess this is an interesting thing. I don't think I haven't heard you been asked this before, but like you're saying that dreams are the subconscious imagination or the subconscious mind trying to act out something. And so that's actually a mechanism, right? It's a part of us that wants to either entertain itself or work something out that has been repressed.
Mhm.
But what's an astral projection? What's the mechanism there? Why does it happen? Why do we have this ability? And although many people haven't consciously attempted to do it, certainly we have stories of people who have gone through surgery or had heart attacks and left their body and saw what was happening from above the operating table. And we have people like you and I who can instigate these things manually, if you will. But what the heck is it? Like, why do we do this, do you think?
Um, well, that's kind of hard to pin down. In a way, it's almost a better question to ask why we experience anything to begin with. I mean, why do we experience, in the body?
Mm.
I think what happens is I believe in something called the story of experience, which is something that I have only recently started exploring in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in this story of experience. And what I mean by that is that the story of experience is kind of a fiction that you tell yourself, and it's basically when you're in the body, you're also telling yourself a story of experience. So your mind is interpreting your physical senses and the data that's coming through your physical senses and saying, okay, this is what's happening to me. And it's going by the sense data, the five senses, and a bunch of assumptions like, what's up and down and what's gravity and, how things should behave. And while you're in the body, you go through this story of experience. And it's just basically an interpretation. It's a fiction that your brain is telling yourself. And it's based on what you're going through in your physical senses. Now, when we have when we go to sleep at night, we dissociate from our physical body, and then the subconscious kind of takes over and pulls that away from us. And so your story of experience is basically dropped. In an out-of-body experience, it's your story of experience continues on, and what you and I do is we kind of derail that story of experience. And the way you do it is you have to use your imagination to trigger it. Earlier I said that the imagination is your body is it's very little difference to your brain and your body between your imagination and your experience. And so if you imagine something, what you're doing is you're giving yourself an altered story of experience. And so what we do is we kind of use this trick of imagination to derail your story of experience and trick you into getting to that out-of-body state. Once you're in the out-of-body state, your experience is not imagination. It's based on a different set of data. And what that set of data is, I don't know. It's obviously not, it doesn't coincide with the physical senses. But where is it getting that data to interpret as an experience, as as things that you're seeing, things that you're doing? Who's to say? I don't know, but it's getting it somewhere. And I think a lot of people would conjecture that there are quantum fields involved in all of that, and you're somehow interpreting that data differently.
Well, that would make a lot of sense to me, because whenever I leave my body, there are certain colors that are missing. Like some colors I can see, but things look dimmer. And what I was explained by my spirit guide in the afterlife is because the spectrum of frequencies and colors and light in our world is so different, and your physical brain can't interpret it. So it's it's like you're coming back with fragmented data. But
Yeah.
I just came across this article that some institutions worldwide are starting to seriously look at what all the theories on the origins of consciousness are. And the scientists and the neurologists and the researchers who are proposing their various theories, some think it comes from the brain, and then others, I think you and I fall into this camp, correct me if I'm wrong, believe that consciousness is something more like a frequency or a radio signal, and our brain is nothing more than a transceiver that receives data and ships some ships some out, and that who we really are is more than the sum of our parts. We're more than our body.
Right.
So a little like, I mean, I used to use the radio analogy, but I guess a better one nowadays is like, if you're listening to Adele sing a song through your iPhone, Adele's not in the phone. It's channeled through. It's a signal, and
Right.
maybe our mind is a signal, and so when we leave our body, I guess you could say it's more like we're not even leaving our body necessarily, but we're maybe expanding our conscious awareness to what we really are. Then maybe that just came to me right now. Going back to what you were saying about the techniques and how we can use our imagination to induce one of these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this is impossible, Bob, but in a nutshell, is there a way that you could sort of tell people how the hell to do it? I mean, how do you use the techniques to induce an out-of-body experience? Of course, we'll have links to your book.
Yeah, so basically what you do to induce an out-of-body experience is the first thing you have to do is you have to cut off all available information to your physical senses, because that's what your story of experience is derived from primarily. So first of all, you have to relax your body completely, and I recommend relaxing your body to the point where you can't even feel it, and preferably relax your body to the point where you can convince yourself that your arms are in a different position. So maybe your arms are lying, at your side, but you convince yourself that your arms are up or something like that. And it's not too difficult to do. Anyone can do this. Also, I prefer a room that's very dark, if not completely dark. Some people, although, can use a face mask or something like that, and that cuts off your sense of sight. So the relaxation cuts off your sense of touch. The eye mask or darkness cuts off your sense of sight. Then it helps to have either no sound at all, so silence. I've had many OBE attempts ruined by a next door neighbor doing mowing his lawn at 10 in the morning or 9 in the morning or whatever.
Right.
So silence as much as possible. You can use noise canceling headphones or earplugs or something like that. But primarily those three senses: the sense of touch, sight, and sound. Taste and smell are not used as much. But once you've got those senses basically trickled down to their bare minimum, that gives your story of experience basically very little to go on. And so then you start using your imagination. You use your imagination for sight. You use your imagination to replace the sense of sight. So a lot of OBE books recommend visualizations. So you visualize a tunnel, or you visualize some common object, like visualize your cell phone or whatever, and keep it spinning, because if it's spinning, it's easier to visualize something in motion than it is something static. Or you can imagine that a song is playing, a song that's very well known that you've heard a million times and you know every note. So imagine the song, and imagine that you're seeing nothing but just hearing the song. Or imagine the sense of touch. Imagine that you are, basically motion. One of the easiest techniques for me is an imagined sense of motion. So I imagine that, for example, that my body is swaying back and forth like water sloshing around in a bottle, or that your whole body is being swayed back and forth like this. And just imagine that swaying, that sense of motion. And for maximum effect, it's best to combine and do multiple senses, try and get multiple senses involved. So imagine that you're seeing something and hearing something and feeling something all at once. one technique, for example, in a couple of OBE books, is to imagine that you're peeling an orange and you can smell the orange and you can feel the skin of the orange and you can, you know, you can see the orange, and you're trying to involve as many senses as you can. And basically what you're doing is you're overriding your natural story of experience, and you're saying, no, forget those senses. Forget the sense of sight, sound, touch. None of that applies anymore. Focus only on this that you're imagining. And what you're doing is you're just redirecting that story of experience. You're sending it flying off the rails, if you will. And once it's off the rails, you're golden, because then you can stop imagining all these things. And what happens is you usually will find these, what they call the vibrations, will sweep into your body, and different people experience them differently. So it's different for everybody. But they can be very electrical feeling, or they can be mild or very rough and abrasive. But anyway, a lot of times people feel vibrations entering their body and sweeping throughout the entire body. And then you're basically lying in your physical body, but you're separate from it. Now, some people at this point don't know that they're separate from their body because they feel perfectly normal. But if they try and sit up or stand up or roll out or whatever, they'll find that their non-physical body will move, and their story of experience will follow that new non-physical body, and their physical body is left lying in the bed or on the couch or wherever you happen to leave it.
It's so fun. It's so friggin' fun.
There's nothing more fun, yeah.
Because I take first thing I do, I fly out my window and I just fly. And then I don't get very far sometimes, and I black out, and then I'm back in my body. But
yeah, a lot of times I do that too. I'll have an initial fly around where I'll just do some big loops in the air, just playfully, and then I'll tell myself, okay, now down to business, and I'll do some experiments or whatever. But yeah, I always got to get that little bit of play in there.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. That's a great, really concise explanation. And so I hope that we've wet the whistle of my viewers to go and pick up your book. So, or any one of them. You've got 4 of them out now. And do you have a website that we can plug?
Yes, I've got a website, robertpeterson.org. And in robertpeterson.org, it's kind of the webpage needs to be revamped completely. I need to redo it, but I just haven't taken the time. But the webpage has links to my blog. I've got a blog that's free that I try and update every couple weeks, usually on a Tuesday morning. And in that blog, I typically give advice, free advice, and OBE tips and techniques and different things to try, or out-of-body book reviews. And I've done like more than 80 OBE book reviews at this point. And so whenever there's a new book that comes out on the subject, I read it, I devour it, and I put it in my collection, and I basically give the highlights and tell about the techniques it's giving and all of that. So, yeah.
And so if people want to interact with you, you are a moderator on a pretty popular Facebook group. I think it's just called Astral Projection, isn't it?
Yep, Astral Projection is a Facebook group, and I'm one of the. There are several moderators on there, and I'm just one of them. But there, I think, are about 40,000 members in that group.
Worldwide.
And I actually frequent about 25 or 30 different astral projection related sites, groups on Facebook, but that's probably the biggest one.
Perfect. Okay, well, we've got links. I have to thank you again for joining me and making the time while you're on your beautiful vacation, and say hi to the family for me.
Sure, will do. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. All right, you take care, Bob. Wow. An interview can't quite prepare you for the real thing. You've got to try this yourself. And as I've said before, Bob's book gives you a step-by-step, detailed practice to actually learn to leave your body. And astral projection is not only useful for fun, but it can actually develop your psychic ability. It was instrumental in my own development when I was younger. The other thing that it can do, I think, for people who suffer from debilitating disease or who are even heaven forbid, chronically ill, is teach them that they're more than their body.
So it was elective surgery. It was booked well ahead. Chris went in for the surgery, had the repair done, was in the hospital 5 days. It was a success. They released him from the hospital, and he was home for about another 5 days. And then one night he had some pain, and from then on I called 911. He couldn't breathe. His heart stopped, and with all the shock, I believe, and they couldn't get started quick enough. So Chris went into a coma. So he never came out of surgery, really. I never spoke to him since then.
I sense a dead person coming through for you. He appears to be someone who comes across as an equal, like a mate, like a husband. But it's weird because I can't call him that. Do you feel like you lost like a person who's closer than a husband, like a soulmate?
Yes.
Did you come together later in life by the standard of the day, do you feel?
Yes.
You met after you had kids?
Yes.
He is just... He's playing with me now. He's laughing and I don't know if I can say this, but I will anyway, because you're here. He's in a Speedo, and and he's wiggling his bum in my face like an idiot, like a complete moron, and he's just making fun of me. Like, oh, he'll like, the psychic will like this. Why would he be taunting and terrifying me like this? Is he a silly, silly man?
He's a character.
Okay. Okay. But you had a trip. Did you go to Italy or did you go to the Bahamas?
With him? Are you asking?
It's like a coastal region kind of thing that you had that was very special.
Yes.
Okay. It was after you got married. It wasn't part of the marriage ceremony, but it was a memory for the two of you.
Yes.
And he just got drunk. And he just let loose with you. He could be himself. That's the biggest gift you gave him, was the fact that he could be himself without editing or, how would you put it? He was the type to be the Prince Charming to people, and he didn't need to save you because you're a queen already. It's kind of like this idea of a person in trouble and this cowboy looking upon them and saying, "Oh, do you need help?" And you're like, "No, no, thanks. I've got this." Oh, he's sorry he had to leave you, babe. He's laughing and saying life's a bitch, but that's not why he left, but life is a bitch. Hold on. He couldn't speak at the end. Was it that he was torn so fast that you couldn't talk to him at the end, or was it that his larynx was gone?
Yeah, his throat was affected.
Because I can't talk to you. But all I wanted to tell you was I love you. That's it. And you'll be okay because you survived long before him, and you'll survive long after. Don't doubt yourself. So your heart cries out to the universe. Anger's not the right word. Rage is the right word. Rage is, why the did I meet this person later in life only to have him torn out of my arms? And what the hell was the point of that? After all this time waiting for love. Here's the answer. If he were a nobody, if he were someone who you didn't love, and you lost him, sorry, my girls,
Okay.
you would not have appreciated his soul or loss. So, in other words, you meet people that you love, and then you lose them, so that you know that love matters. That's why. That's why. And then the mediumship thing, and hauntings and paranormal activity, all of it is to show that love matters. It still lives on. You don't just lose it after someone takes their last breath. So the answer to why the hell did we connect was, well, because love is real. We knew each other before, and we will meet again. Death is not an end. It is always until next time. That's why. That's why. Mm-hmm. So, that's from him to you. Okay. Love matters, and it's real, and you are not to be alone. You are not meant to be alone. He is guiding your hand into the hand of another, at your own pace, but he is. Did you give up smoking after he died?
No.
Because someone who, he's making my nose itchy, and usually this means someone gave up smoking. So maybe one of the boys. What's the name of his son? Kyle?
Kyle's his son. Mm-hmm.
What's your son's name?
Christopher.
Christopher. Does Christopher smoke?
Yes.
He's giving it up.
He's trying. Mm-hmm.
Well, he'll succeed.
Good.
You're in this weird spot where you're not quite working in a happy way, and you're looking for a way to not have to work anymore. One could say, aren't we all? When you love what you do, it's like you haven't worked a day in your life, and you're trying to use your real gifts. And you are, by all intents and purposes, a nurse, but you weren't going to deal with people's vomit and poop. So you do the next best thing, which is to be administrative. But there's still something that you can do in terms of helping people with their, let's say, need to orient themselves in the world. What do you do for your day job right now?
I'm a project manager.
Okay. So you're dealing with orienting people at work, but I see you changing this exactly a year from now, where you're more on a managerial level. It's like you move up a level. And that seems to be important. You don't want to have to do any of this anymore. Like, your work doesn't matter to you at all. But yet the people that you're with you like. And I think if you go up to a managerial level, it will help. Is what I'm saying connecting to anything that you've thought of, though?
Well, I'm at a managerial level now.
Okay, the next level up from there. Or the fact that maybe others will drop off and you'll be more in charge. That's either or, but it's in the time frame that I said.
Okay.
And your honey is very happy about that. You haven't met anyone else, eh? I feel like you're 100% toward him, like he's your soulmate, but whoever else you're with is just a companion. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah. Somewhat.
He wants you to go to the casino. It's funny. There's some funny joke about going over and blackjack or something. Would he have done that?
He would come with me. He wouldn't do it. Well, I didn't go often, but
Right. He is attempting to reach you, and I know that you ask him to come to you in your dreams, and so that you can see him and hold him, but your grief gets in the way of that. This was not a long passing. Did he only die about a year ago?
not quite a year yet. Yes, almost.
Okay, when would it be 1 year?
April 29th.
Okay, so wait, what year are we now? We're in March now?
Yep.
So April is about a year from now. Or about a month from
Yes.
now is April, and that's a year. Okay.
Yes.
And he's trying to help you carry on. That's what I'm sensing. He's trying to help you carry on. But when you're at the beach and when you're relaxing, he will be with you. And he connects into you and he guides you.
Ever since Chris passed, I mean, I get little signs here and there that, you know, but I would just like to know that he's okay. And I just like to connect to him because I haven't really had a huge connection in any way. Really, like, I had one dream not too long ago, and it was the only one I've ever had. And it was different. It wasn't scary, but it was quite different, and I don't know if that was some of the signs.
I just feel pressure in my chest. And did we talk about his passing? Because I just feel pressure in my chest.
No, we didn't talk about it.
How did he go?
He bled internally and his lungs were crushed.
His lungs were crushed. Because they had a depression because of the fact that there was a positive fluid in them, right? What the hell caused this? It's so bizarre.
Very.
It's not a thing. Like, my mother died of a broken foot, and it caused a blood clot that traveled into her pulmonary system. What the hell happened to this man? Because I get chest pressure.
Yeah.
What happened, hon? What the hell happened to this man? Because I get chest pressure.
Yeah.
What happened, hon?
We went to our doctors for our yearly annual physical that we do. And the doctor knew that Chris had a mitral valve prolapse, so a leaky, sloppy valve to his heart, but it never bothered Chris for his entire life, pretty much. But the doctor said, let's preventative maintenance, so you don't have to worry about it if you're going to be living in different countries in the world. Let's go get it looked at. So they looked at it and decided to do the surgery. So it was elective surgery. It was booked well ahead. Chris went in for the surgery, had the repair done, was in the hospital 5 days. It was a success. They released him from the hospital, and he was home for about another 5 days. And then one night he had some pain, and from then on I called 911. He couldn't breathe. He had been sent home on a prescription of warfarin and naproxen, and Chris has a bleeding disorder. So unbeknownst to both of us, and I believe because he was so healthy, he didn't have any warning signs. It was a quick, I'm in pain, what's going on? couldn't get up, couldn't breathe, and I called 911. And from then we went to the hospital, and unfortunately they couldn't stop his bleeding soon enough. And then when they went to whisk him off to surgery, his heart stopped, and with all the shock, I believe, and they couldn't get it started quick enough. So Chris went into a coma, so he never came out of surgery really, and I never spoke to him since then.
Let me explain. The reason he makes me feel this is because he's free.
Yeah.
This was the end. It wasn't, and you know, how many times have you stubbed your toe or whatever, or had a baby? You know, you don't go, oh, my vagina every day. He's free from this.
Yeah,
He's free.
that's good.
He's just saying, it's like, bro, this is what happened. Did you prepare questions ahead of time?
I did.
Okay, do you want to read them out? And read them from top to bottom. It'd be interesting because if I see a vision, I'll let you know.
Okay. My first question is, are you okay and at peace?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The second one, did you hear us while you lay in a coma?
I don't think that he did.
No.
I don't think at that particular time, but I think he's left his body, and I think that what had happened was you gave him permission to go. Did you tell him it was okay to go?
Yes.
We'll see you again. And I feel like you made him safe. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next question is, are you sending signs?
I just, like I said, the coins, the dreams. Yeah.
Okay.
What signs have you noticed?
Well, I've seen, in the summer I saw a lot of butterflies.
Oh. See, but I feel like that's your grandmother.
My grandmother.
But I feel like your other loved ones have been around more since you lost your I call him your hubby because it doesn't feel like a normal husband.
Right.
How did you get married?
We didn't get married.
Were you like common law?
Yes. Engaged.
Like
Fiance.
7 years? How long?
9
were you-
years.
9 years.
Yeah.
He's your hubby.
Yes.
And your grandmother up the yellow butterflies and the white butterflies to let you know she's taking care of him. And I think she's pinched his bum once or twice. She's a funny woman.
You sure it's my grandmother?
Is she a little British woman or an Irish
Oh
woman?
my goodness. Yeah, she's Irish.
She's like, I'm pinching his ass, honey.
No way.
So,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Wow.
that's all.
Okay. Okay, my fourth question is, will I find love and happiness again?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. It's not the end of your life, and you're not going to be alone because you're not self-destructing. People who self-destruct can't find love. But anyone who is self-destructing, who resurrects themselves, can find love. There's 7 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
You came to the wrong place to be alone. And there is someone for you, and it's within 2 years.
Okay.
And he will guide your hand into that person's hand.
All right.
He might be joking right now, but he'll make sure they're uglier than he was.
Oh. He's a very good looking man, so my standards are high. He knows that.
All right.
Okay, so my next question names a person.
Just
Do
the
you
name.
want me to go ahead with it? To
Just
ask?
the name.
Alice.
Dead?
Yes.
Was this cancer related?
No.
Because I see organs shutting down strangely.
Yeah. I would say so.
Do you still have contact with her kids? Because I see 2 kids in particular that of course, your age or, you know, you need to reach out to them. And I think that she's fine. And well, hold on. Did she lose her husband early in life as well?
No.
Because there's a man over there. I don't know if it's her husband or her father, but there's a man over there who she's reconnected with.
Probably her father. Yeah.
Bill or William, do you know who that is?
You know what? I don't even know his name. It's before my
Check
time.
into that.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, okay. So, but she is like a motherly figure, isn't she?
Yes, very much so.
And she wants you to know she's like, the reason she didn't come through first and foremost, it's because you need your hubby to come through. She doesn't want to take the spotlight. But don't you think for a second that she isn't the ringleader. She rounded everybody up today.
Yeah.
She comes to you all the time. You know that. You smell her. She creates a perfume in the hallway or something, and then where's that from? And then it's gone. It's a beautiful aroma. Have you smelt that from Alice?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, her own will get that. Does she have a son alive?
Yes.
He will smell her, and that's her. Jasmine. The jasmine bloom will be from his mom. So who was she to you, hon?
So it was Chris's cousin, very, very, very close cousin. And she just passed.
Oh, just recent. Okay. So she's learning all of these signs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She's the ringleader, though. She's bringing people through. But she wouldn't dare take the spotlight today because you needed Chris.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have more
Okay.
questions?
Yeah. That's funny. Will I be able to live the early retirement that you and I had planned?
Well, yes and no. Well, because you're going to be sharing it with someone new, and you don't know what they bring to the table. But I do see Florida, and I do see Nevada, but I see Nevada more as a memory. So you might go there as a tribute, but Florida will be a new future. Do you have a Nevada or a Vegas memory with Chris?
Yes, we did go to Vegas.
Good, good. More than Florida.
We had Florida as well.
Okay,
We-
but Florida will be the future more so than it has been. Yeah, that's what he paints for your retirement.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have more questions?
So I have a question I haven't got written down. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So is Chris aware of his new grandchild?
Let me just ask him. Hold on. I see a duplication. Did his name get passed down?
Yes.
Okay, because I feel like an L, even though his name is Chris, but I feel like an L could be connected as well, maybe one of the parents or something. And I feel like, yes, he watches over this little one. Very new, eh? Like within 4 months? Or April?
It's within 4 months, yeah, so it was November.
November, 4 months ago, okay. Yes, he's watching over this little boy. Why? Oh, so I see his name passed down, but what's the L? Is that for his mom or something?
You know what? His daughter that had the baby's name's Val. I don't know if that would be.
No, that's
No.
not an L, but
Okay.
good on you because it's hard for me to see Val.
Yeah.
But anyway, because there are other kids that can come still.
Yeah.
So yes, he sees that little one, that little boy. What's the name? Because I know that they named the middle name Chris, but what's the
Oh,
first
exactly.
name?
Yeah, the first name's Maverick.
Maverick. Okay. MC. Okay. So he sees that little boy, but there's another little girl coming, and I wonder if that's the L. But he thanks them for the middle name. Yeah. But at the same time, like, you're in this weird position because you're not blood to them,
Right.
yet you are family. And he's trying to angle this toward you, this whole reading toward you.
Yeah.
Because they have to plan this ahead of time. So, yes, but he sees his grandson, yes. Yeah. Okay, any more that come to mind?
The last one is, do you have any messages for myself or anyone else in our family?
Yep. Okay. So we're in March now, and I think we talked about this earlier, but he is putting a ring on your finger. So when did you guys get engaged, or?
It was January 29th, and it's about, I don't know, five years ago? Yeah.
Okay, because there's something very special about the ring. Did you keep it?
Yes.
Okay. You probably don't quite know what to do with it, but what his suggestion is to just put it on a necklace and then give it to one of the kids one day. That's the sense that I have. But I mean, when you ask if there's a message, the whole thing is a message, right? And you know that, but that's what you had come up with beforehand. So his energy is one where he wants you desperately to know that he can still check in on you and visit. He's not suffering. This is the beginning of a new relationship. It's not a physical one, it's a spiritual one. And the more you talk to him and ask for him, the more he will be able to reach back through the veil and come to you. And it'll be in unexpected ways. Like I just see you in bed with the TV screen on and then the TV turning off. And I see you dreaming of him and things. But look, if it was your own unconscious, you dream of him all the time. You don't. It's usually once a year or twice a year. The butterflies aren't from him, admittedly, but they are about him in the sense that your grandmother and these people try.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I get.
It's an amazing experience. The things that Bro said, especially the Speedo, that is unbelievable, and I can't wait for the family to even hear that because they're going to know. He just was bang on quite a few of the things, and I'm so happy because, walking in here, part of my nervousness was, what if I don't hear anything from Chris? And that's what I wanted to be here for, because I wanted to connect with him, and this was absolutely amazing, so I'm so happy I came. Chris being such an outgoing guy, he came in at the beginning of the reading just being a character, because that's what Chris was. That's what his personality is. And because it's been difficult for me, and again, I've been in the grieving process, so I'm sure he's reaching out and I'm not seeing a lot of the signs. Just I'm making logic out of them or something. So I'm going to try and, I talk to him a lot in the house, and I'm going to keep talking to him, and hopefully he can reach directly out to me again. So it was a great experience. It's what I was hoping for, honestly. Driving up here, I was a nervous wreck. And I'd be very sad if I went home and there was no reading, because that happens, right? And I didn't want that to happen. I actually did a psychic reading years ago, and it's just that you go into a big building where they're all sitting at the tables, and I sat down, and the fellow couldn't read me at all. And this is years ago. So I was worried that would happen again. And this was so important to me. So I'm glad that he got through to me, through Bro. Yeah.
True love, it's a weird thing. You can meet someone who you're meant to be with and not stay with them. A heart who is separated from another heart that truly loves them cries out to the universe, why? Why did we meet? What was the point of the entire relationship? And my argument is this: love changes us. It helps us grow. It helps us get in touch with a part of ourselves that perhaps we would keep shielded forever otherwise. I suppose it truly is real, that it is better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all.